I decided when I started studying at Smith that I was going to go to law school. I took a constitutional law course that I really enjoyed, and that's what solidified my decision to go to law school.
And eventually, what law school did you attend?
University of Connecticut School of Law.
And what years were you there?
1975 to 1978.
During the time that you were in law school, were you involved in any kind of extracurricular activities?
Yes, I was involved in the Student Bar Association. I was president of the Student Bar Association in our third year of law school. I learned probably about 5 or 6 years ago that I was the first woman president of the Student Bar Association.
When you graduated from law school, what kind of opportunities did you have specifically for employment?
Leonard Casella, with whom I had interned, offered me a position, and I accepted that.
And so basically, you were able to practice in a variety of areas.
I did real estate closings. I learned how to do title searches. I was handling divorce matters. I was doing a fair amount of plaintiff's personal injury work. And actually, I was doing criminal defense work at that time as well.
Were there many other women involved in litigation at that time in the Waterbury area?
No, there were no other criminal defense attorneys at the time.
Now, at this point in time, while you're practicing, were you involved with the bar associations at all?
I was chair of the Young Lawyers section. I believe it was 4 or 5 years after I started practicing. So that would have been 1983, 1984, and I've continued to be involved in the Connecticut Bar Association.
With Attorney Casella now, how long did you stay with him?
I continued to practice with Leonard for 10 years. I was a partner after 4 years, and the practice, in terms of my practice, became more and more oriented toward family law, which I really enjoyed. And after 10 years, I had sufficient confidence to start my own practice. I wanted to be more independent and autonomous, and I felt very comfortable at that point starting my own solo practice.
Solo?
Yes.
Okay.
I focused on predominantly family law. I continued to do a little bit of plaintiff's personal injury, some residential real estate, and simple wills.
What do you think the attitude of the clients was toward you as a woman attorney?
I had very positive experience with clients. On occasion, particularly if it was a real estate closing, a client would think I was a paralegal rather than a lawyer, probably because I was a woman and because I was young.
In terms of other attorneys, how did you perceive their attitude toward you?
By and large, I found other lawyers male lawyers to be very respectful. There were some I would describe as rare instances where more senior lawyers, male lawyers, would be intimidating.
And what about the judges before whom you appeared?
So most of them were white males and older males, and I felt were very respectful. I remember one rare occasion where there was a judge who actually sat at GA4 in Waterbury, and then on one occasion I arrived and it was a winter's day, and I was walking up the steps and he remarked that I had a new coat on and said, "You don't look like the poor little WAP girl that I saw a year ago." And I was stunned. I was completely stunned. And I think he recognized how stunned I was and then gave the caveat of, well, I can say that because I'm part Italian. That was really a rarity, and he was later removed from the bench.
In terms of the Bar Association, tell me a little bit about what your involvement with that association was.
As time went on, because women like Marilyn Seichter, Carolyn Kelly, Susan Wolfson really encouraged me to stay involved after I was chair of the Young Lawyers section. They ensured that I was appointed to committees of what was described as the senior bar. And so I continued to remain engaged. And then Marilyn Seichter approached me, I would say probably in 1993 and indicated that the next vice president who was going to be elected and would therefore become president of the bar was from what was described as the other counties. And so I indicated that I was interested, and the nominating committee, I think by one vote, which was the vote of Jim Greenfield, nominated me.
And after being president of the CBA, did you continue to be involved in the Bar Association?
I'm actively involved now, to the extent that I'm always typically on one committee. And because as a result of being president of the CBA, I was so involved in the New England Bar Association, I later became president of the New England Bar.
And what about the American Bar Association?
When one is an officer of the Connecticut Bar Association, you are part of the Connecticut delegation to the ABA House of Delegates. And so I became involved in the Connecticut delegation, and when Carolyn Kelly went from the House of Delegates to the Board of Governors of the ABA, I ran for that position, and I was successful, and I was the state delegate for Connecticut to the ABA for 9 years.
And then after you were a state delegate to the ABA, did you continue to be involved with them?
I later went on to be on the Board of Governors of the ABA.
During the time that you've been practicing law, have you been involved in any kind of community activities?
I served on the Women's Emergency Shelter Board. I was a volunteer painting the shelter, taking hotline calls. I was on the board of Planned Parenthood in Waterbury, on the board of Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I was a big sister.
At any point in time, did you affiliate with other attorneys?
In 1999, 10 years after I had been practicing as a solo, I received a phone call from my now partner, Rick Richardson, and he asked to meet with me, and in meeting with me said that he had decided that he wanted to have a practice emphasis in family law, and would I consider taking him on as a partner. I thought it would be a very good fit, and we've now been together for 17 years.
What advice would you give a young woman entering the legal profession today?
My advice would be to set your sights high, to work hard, to focus on professionalism, and be involved in bar associations. Bar associations, for me, were a wonderful way to interact with other attorneys, particularly because for such a long time I was a solo practitioner and always in a small firm. It gave me the opportunity to understand what was going on in the profession in a much more broad sense. And it also was a great opportunity to collaborate with other lawyers, to engage in activities that improved the profession and assisted in the community. So I stayed involved for so many years because it really enhanced my life. And I think it enhanced my practice, not so much in the sense that I got referrals, although I did, but more in the sense that it gave me a much greater understanding of the profession and the power of what lawyers could do together when they united in trying to accomplish something.